All right. Well, welcome everyone. I am so excited to have Malena Putnam here today. She is the co-founder of Chicks in Charge, which, by the way, we have a Frisco, North Dallas Chicks in Charge group kicking off later this month. Yeehaw. I'm very excited about that. And you're also the founder of Yay Dude OKC. So Malena, just tell us a little bit about yourself. What is Yay Dude? What is it that inspires you? What lights you up? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, I tell you what, obviously, I'm a writer, I'm a brand strategist, so words are really important to me. And one of my favorite words of all time is yay. I am an Enneagram type 7. I am all about celebration and making work fun. I'm also sort of an early adopter of things, and I'm out there wanting to know like what's new, what's happening now. I have a degree from OU in radio, TV, film. So as a journalist, I was just always wanting to know what's going on right now. I wanted to be the first to know. And so all of that kind of tied into what I ended up doing for a career, which did not end up, I'm not an anchor on television like originally I thought I was, but I do a lot of speaking and using all of the skills that I learned as a journalist to be a promoter and a marketer and brand strategist. And of course, nowadays with the platforms that we have now, we're able to do video, on our own. We don't have to go through a television station to get PR for ourselves or for our clients. And so it really worked out for the best. And so when I used to have an ad agency back in the early 2000s, and my partner was 12 years older than me, my business partner. And so she did a lot of that sales aspect, and I was the creative director. And I thought, whenever I hit my 20-year anniversary of being an entrepreneur, I thought I want to rebrand my company because I'd had partners before. I'd been on my own for a while. And instead of just using my name, I decided I was going to call it Yay Dude, because I already had Chicks in Charge. And I thought, well, that'd be fun. I had seen had a pair of those Hey Dude shoes. And I thought that's such a cute name. Like, I feel like our company name should really reflect our personalities. And I know that's what we're talking about today with personal branding. And so that's really how Yay Dude came about. I'm a big believer in community. And so that's what both my companies have in common, is that we build community. And I love to build brands and tell stories and make it fun. Host a lot of events that also brings community together. So it was just kind of a beautiful new beginning to celebrate, 20 years of being an entrepreneur.
Oh,
so,
I love that.
so it'll be 2 years this March, because I launched Yay Dude on my daughter's birthday on March 28th, and it would have been 2 years ago. So it's been a fun rebranding, because now people know that they can come to me for, what are the new restaurants? What are the new fun things to do? And it's all about supporting small businesses too. So that's really our focus there.
I love it. You said one thing, words matter. Oh my gosh. I am such a word person. And when I hear people say certain words, I'm like, ooh, that was either cringeworthy, or ooh, that could have been said better, or, oh, that was a really great word that you said.
Yeah.
But I am
For
such
sure.
a words person too, for that matter. Anyway, but today we're going to be talking about personal branding and executive presence. And Malena and I were talking earlier before we hit record here, and I was at lunch with a good friend who I hope to work with her. But we were at lunch talking about personal branding, and she was throwing around the term executive presence as if it were personal branding as well too. And I had to kind of pause for a minute and go, okay, here's the thing: you have to have a personal brand in order to have executive presence. You have to have a brand that you're building to establish that authority and that credibility in your space. And
Right.
And I feel like so many people, they use those words interchangeably and not really knowing exactly what they mean. And, Malena, you and I work in this world. So it's like, we know these words, we know what they mean. But I do think that there is some misnomers out there, especially in the corporate area, as to, what exactly does that mean and how do you show up and make it happen as well, too. So I know that today we're going to be talking about, we'll end our session today talking about some specific strategies that, executives and business owners can do to establish that personal brand and how it shows up and as executive presence too, for that matter. But when it comes to personal branding, when you're working with businesses, your business owners, and frankly, even some of the women in Chicks in Charge too, because I'm sure that these are topics that come up on the regular, right?
Oh,
But
yeah.
when you're talking with your brands that you're working with, whether they be people or companies, when it comes to the personal brand, what are the things that you're advising your businesses on? Like, where do they even start? How does this work for you?
Yeah. We always start with the discovery survey, and it's really to get to know the purpose of the brand, right? What is their why? What are they bringing to the marketplace? Why does it matter? Why is someone going to choose them over the competition? And what is it about them that is going to be attractive? That's what makes us do business with other people, is that we are attracted to their offering and what is the benefit. And so if I understand what that benefit is, I have several restaurant clients. The benefit is that I'm going to go in and get great service and have really good food and hopefully create a fun memory with whomever that is that I go with. Or if I'm just sitting there at the bar, then that relationship's going to be between me and the server, me and the bartender, right? So you want to have that good relationship going. And so that's where we start, is that discovery survey of like, what is it that you're offering? Why does it matter to the marketplace? And then once you figure that out, then you can figure out what the personality of that is. And so whether it's, is it casual? Is it classy? Is it, stylish? I mean, whatever that is. And then you keep adding on, right? So you've got that foundation of the mission and the purpose and the values that are important to you. And then you're going to build on that with the personality that's going to come through in the colors and the copy.
Right. I'm curious, do you find, because I have found this to come up a lot, actually, do you find that people really understand their why? Because I feel like so many people are like, oh, well, I just have to do, I want to climb the corporate ladder. I want to have, the business because I need the income, I've got to do something. Right. But do people really understand the why behind it? Is that a struggle? It's been a struggle for some of the folks that I've served. It's like, okay, well, I want to make money. And it's like, well, there's got to be more to it than just the money side of things,
Yeah. Well, I think what helps is whenever you pull out a story, like it could be an origin story, for example. And back to one of the restaurants, he has a red moose that is an icon that's tied to where he grew up in New York. There was a red moose at the side of the road, and every weekend he would visit his grandfather, and his grandfather's property was 1 mile past the red moose. And so, but it's all about family. And so that's what's really important to him. So he wanted to create an environment that was really fun for families. He's a big family guy himself. And so that red moose just signified that. He was like, that I want people to have the experience that I had growing up, where you go every week. And so he has those people returning to watch games there at the bar and to bring their families in and over Christmas. And so I think that helps a lot, is identifying what that story is. Then you build on that from there.
Yeah, I love the concept of an origin story, because I think that if you really just stop and think about it, for you, your business, what it is that you're doing, if you're a business owner, even executive too, why are you doing the things that you're doing? What was that origin story? Because we all have one. It's so funny. I think that people think that their lives are boring, and it's like, well, what do I have to share on social media? My life is boring. I don't really do that much. I'm an accountant. I'm a lawyer. What is it that I do? I'm like, oh my goodness, it's the little things. It's your story behind it as well too, that people are really, we all want to know the story. I look at just a post that I've posted on, Facebook and Instagram, and even on LinkedIn for that matter, over the past couple of years. And it's the storytelling post of, why I'm doing the things that I'm doing, those have gotten the most traction. Absolutely. It's like, you can educate people all day long, and that's important to do too. But people want to know, like, and trust you. And the way that you do that is by telling that story. So I love that. So then let's talk about how, establishing that brand. So what does executive presence look like for you? And does, in my mind, personal branding is like, you've got to build that personal brand in order to have the executive presence, in order to have the authority. But I'm always interested in other perspectives too. So talk to me about that. What does executive presence look like in your world, and how do you help your clients achieve that?
Yeah, I think it's first of all, it's once you know what your purpose is and your passion. And so you're living that out and you've got your personality established. So people know when they interact with you, what are they going to get, right? In writing, in person, if they're speaking, all of that, we all have a particular presence that we do there. Well, then the other part of that then is going to be that platform. And so the platform that you're building is not only social media is a big part of our platform these days, making sure that your website is up to date and that they can go on there, because the first thing that we're going to do, and so many, business cards even have the QR codes, it's going to go right there. It's going to go to your link tree. It's going to go to your website. So they're going to get an idea of your presence from what you're putting on your platform. Oh, so what the content that you are choosing, that you are curating every time you go on and share a story, every time you put that on, that is starting to build the executive presence that you're going to have once you start getting plugged into those boards, or that, you've, been nominated for something big, like a, Woman of the Year or something like that. And you're suddenly in that group of people that also have reached a certain level of success. And so you've got a chair at the table. So I think all that kind of leads into what that executive presence is. And then it's not something that once it's established, it can still go away. It's something that is fluid. So you got to keep at it, just like with your personal brand, your executive presence can go up or down as well.
Yeah, I was talking to a woman here recently in the Dallas area who wants to have more of a speaking career. And she's very passionate about certain subject matters and that kind of thing. And she was a new person in my circle. And so I went home, and what do we immediately do when we meet someone new? We type them in on Google, like, what's their name? I mean, I do that. I know I'm not the only person who does. And so I typed in her name on Google and then on LinkedIn as well, too. And on her LinkedIn, so the first thing, of course, that popped up, since she works for a company, first thing that popped up was her LinkedIn profile. I mean, that happens. LinkedIn is if you're on LinkedIn, that's going to be one of the first things that people see when they do a quick Google search on you. Hopped onto her LinkedIn profile. She had no picture, of herself, on the LinkedIn banner, nothing on the banner, no photo, no headshot, no nothing. I didn't know if I was looking at the right person or not until I started looking through past posts, and she hasn't posted in 13 months. And I was like, okay, this is her, because I looked at her job experience and I saw, okay, she talked about that. I was able to kind of connect the dots.
Yeah.
First time meeting her, didn't know if I was connecting with the right person or not. And so, it was so funny because a month later I met back at some luncheon or whatever, and I saw her. And we had a great rapport with each other too, for that matter. But we were talking and I was just like, okay, if you want my 2 cents of advice on what you can do to establish yourself, okay, first things first, put a picture on your LinkedIn profile.
Yeah.
Start posting some content everywhere. If you are a leader, which she is, I mean, she's a leader in her space within her industry. She's branched out of that as well too. And it's like, I had no idea, just based on a quick Google search, that you were as passionate about these subjects as you say that you are. And as I know that you are, because I've heard from other people, but it's like, in this digital space, you have people who are connecting you from all over the world. And it's like, how are they going to know what you're passionate about if there's no content out there and I can't easily find you in the first place, Anyway, interesting.
So true.
It's so true. It's like, okay, if you want to be the leader, then you got to show up as one as well too. I mean, you can have the title all day long at whatever bank or accounting firm that you're with or whatnot. But for those of us who don't know who you are, I wouldn't have a clue. So it's fascinating, this whole concept of executive presence and personal branding. And again, in my mind, they fit hand in hand, but it's like, you've got to establish yourself first. So anyway, okay.
Yeah, you've got to be comfortable with putting yourself out there and keeping yourself out there, because what tends to happen is, let's say we go out there and we're active for a couple of months and then we go away. Well, what do people perceive? Right. They perceive that something bad happened, or like, where'd they go? I don't know if they thought you were on vacation for 2 months. I mean, who knows? But it does bring that question. So there is that thing about consistency, just like we need with our marketing, is people look for consistency in your personal brand as well.
Yeah. And I do think that especially when it comes to executive presence, if you're not consistent about it, it's hard to be taken as a leader in your industry if you're not consistency is queen in my world. So it's like you've got to be regular about getting out there. So then what do you tell people? Because I'm sure that you've heard this as well too, but so many of the professional services folks that I work with, it is like pulling teeth to get them to do videos. And they're like, oh, I need to lose 20 pounds first. I don't know. Oh, but what if, and this was asked of me, 2 weeks ago, I was facilitating a training, and one of the gals in the group made a comment. She was just like, well, what if I post information out there and my competitor sees it and then they poach that information? And I'm like, oh, I mean, my attitude is we live in an abundance and there's plenty for everybody to go around. And I don't know if they're poaching your information is your information. How you put it out into the world, how you tell that story is your story to tell. And I don't know. I believe that we all have our spin on things and we all can have our perspective and put it out there into the world. There's always going to be somebody who's going to take whatever, and you can't control that. But, I'm curious what you tell people who are reluctant about getting out on video or just being consistent in the first place.
Yeah. Well, I would say the hardest thing is for people to put themselves on camera.
Yeah.
It's a lot easier when you say, hey, I'm going to come in, whether that's once a month or whether it's every quarter. We're going to have our content calendar, and you've got your key messages that you're going to share, because those messages are hooks, and they also show your credibility and that you own that space. Right. And so if I'm not talking about it over and over, like I have for years, I've done a talk on personal brand power. Therefore, I get invited to talk about personal branding a lot. I started doing that. I have a program called Focus Pocus. So now I go into groups and I talk a lot about that it's more important focus over productivity. But it's so much easier when I tell my team, like, you have to hold me accountable. Like, let's record that, because there's that fear of, like, even though I know those topics, of me having to record it myself, there is that resistance, because then you could sit there and go, oh, I didn't have time to do my hair today, or my makeup, or I didn't feel like getting dressed, or whatever that thing is. And so you just have to make yourself do it. You've got to put it on there. And it's just like Mel Robbins says about her 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, you got to make yourself do it. So if you can't hold yourself accountable to do it, then hire someone to do that, or have someone else on your team help you do that, because that's the only way. The thing is, you don't have to feel comfortable or okay with doing it. Once you do it, you start becoming more comfortable. I have one of my PR gal that works for Yay Dude. Every Thursday now, we talk about it's called the Yay Weekend, our fun list, like, of what's going on that weekend. And I said, we're going to make ourselves get on Facebook every Thursday. And so I think we've already done it for 3 weeks. Yeah. And you just have to make yourself do it. And then we'll remind each other. And she's like, are we recording today? Yes. So, like, we're going to get ready, because we know we're going to be on camera. But that's all you can do, is you just have to make yourself do it. And you know what? It really, really works, because people want to hear from other humans. So it helps the algorithms. You're going to get more likes. You're going to get more engagement, because it's real and it's authentic. And so you don't have to ever think that you're a professional at it to do it. You just have to make yourself do it. But if it's a topic that you're already an expert in, you're going to know what to say, because you probably say it every day anyway. And so it's just record yourself saying it. Yeah. And then it does, I think, like anything else, it gets less scary over time. Yeah. That doesn't mean that you're ever going to love it. So I think that's, if people think they're going to love it, then I think that's wrong. I mean, you may not love it, and that's okay.
And that's okay. But the key, you just have to go do it. There's never going to be a perfect time. There's never going to be a perfect day. There's never going to be a perfect hair or makeup situation. I mean, it's never going to work out that way. And so just going into it, just having the expectation of, hey, the reason why I'm doing this is because my network, my community needs to hear this information. I mean, I told somebody this morning, I was talking to a client this morning, I was like, okay, by you not getting out there and putting the videos out there and promoting your business out there, you're being selfish, because there's women out there who would love to hear what this woman has to say. I know it, and so flip the narrative. It's not about you. It's about the community that you serve and what they need to hear from you,
Yeah. And the way that I consider my definition of personal brand power is, first of all, that you are your own unique superpower. So you don't have to have what the other person has. It's whatever you're going to bring to the table. And so then where the power comes in is it's you at your personal best self to serve others. And so you know what that's going to be whenever you are living and performing at your highest self. And no one else is going to know that if you're not interacting with others, if you're not putting the message out there, if people can't Google you and see that you spoke at an event. And so then they're like, oh, she's done that. So now I can hire her to do that. So it's about that content creation. And then it's about, consistency, and then your frequency of your message, because in the marketing world, we always tell everyone they may not remember your name for the first 7 times they meet you, and they may not act. You could tell them 20 times in a row to take a particular action, and they may not take it until that 20th or 21st time. So that's the biggest thing I hear, is that people say, oh my gosh, like, I'm so bored of my own, like, hearing myself talk of my own message. But I'm like, you're tired of saying it because you're saying it over and over again. But if you look at the people out there, they haven't heard it 100% of the time, or even 50% of the time. They've probably heard it 1 to 5% of the time.
Right.
And so when you say that, then I'm like, oh, I get it. So that's why we're going to keep those messages over and over and over again, and then they'll get it.
I was talking to, I had a business coach last year who I just loved working with. And she made the comment, she goes, Heather, first of all, on social media, only 3 to 5% of your, your network on social. So if you've got 1,000 people who are following you on Instagram, only 3 to 5% of those people are going to see your message that you put out there that one day, And so she's like, if you are repeating yourself and you're telling yourself, hey, I feel like I'm saying the same thing over and over and over again. She was like, that's a good thing. That's a good thing, because the people who heard you that one day that you posted on a Tuesday at 4:00, and only 3 to 5% of the people actually saw it, on a Friday or a Sunday morning, it might be a different group of people. I mean, it's just, you're so right. And what is it? I think I've heard in the online space that you have to put information out there 13 to 20 times in order for one person to see it. That is a lot. That is a lot. So it just takes so much consistency, and
but I think it's good though, just like you're saying, it's important for these women to share this message. It's important for us to get that message out there, because if you have that misconception that every single time you go on that you're suddenly going to get a sale from it, or that someone's going to go to, down your beautiful funnel that you've created and they're going to book you and all these things. I mean, no, it's little baby steps. And so for people to know that to me, that takes the frustration out, because then you're like, oh, I'm not doing anything wrong. That's just how the system works.
Right.
I've got to stay with the program. But it's also that will help us to stay on brand, so that we will talk about those things over and over. And then people will get it. Oh, Heather's expertise are these 3 things, because I hear her talking about these over and over, that's the only way that we can do it. And so hopefully that takes some of the fear out of it. And so that we're not sitting there going, oh my gosh, I must suck because I didn't get that. And it's my biggest pet peeve when people say, well, I'm not getting any return on investment on my social media. If I had $1 for every time someone has said that to me, the purpose of social media is not just a return on investment. It is a return on your personal brand and building that, which is going to take time. So yes, if you're using social media the right way, you are staying on message, you are giving them that call to action and you have your link tree set up with all the ways that they can contact you. And I go to your website and you've got a form there where I can go. I mean, it's those little things that people, I think, don't get right, or they leave off some key pieces of how people can connect with you. That's where you're going to get the return, is can people actually get a hold of you when they need to, but they're not going to get a hold of you until you've proven yourself. And then they go, oh, I trust you now. You are a leader in this topic. And so now I am not only, first of all, I'm going to follow you because that's the first thing we have to have them do. If they're not even, if they see a reel about you and they don't end up following you from it, there's that, but maybe they have to see 3 or 4. There's some people that I follow for a long time and I think that I'm following them because maybe I've liked their reel or something. And then I go, oh, I'm not even following this person. So then I follow them and I get to know them even better. So that's kind of the journey that we want to take our clients and, potential new clients on, is that.
So let's go back. Let's wrap this up. So personal branding, whether you're a business owner or an executive, you got to have a presence on social media. Like, you got to. When people go and Google your name, which is exactly what they're going to do after they meet you, or they're there at a networking event with you and try to find you on Instagram or Facebook or LinkedIn, whatever the platform of choice is, they've got to be able to find you easily so they can connect with you. And then the second key to that is the connection. I love what you said. You've got to make it easy for people to connect with you. How can they find you? How can they connect with you? Whether that be through a Calendly link or your link tree or an email or whatever the thing is that you need from people, you have to have that out there. I mean, I think I see that as just a huge mistake that I see people make all the time, is that there's no easy way to connect, and they're going to be out. Like, they're not going to go through the motions of trying to figure it out. If they can't easily connect with you, they're on to the next thing. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I love what you said about just the content management. Like, you have to be consistent about putting content out there in order to be taken as an industry, authority figure in your space. But
well, and so the thing is, then on Instagram, I run into people you've met. So if someone meets you at a networking event and I go, well, I'm going to look up Malena Putnam. If they go to Instagram, what are they going to put in there? Your name. So then if you're trying to be real sly and have a cutesy name or something like that, and then you're not, or you're saying, well, I don't want to put myself out there, so I'm only going to put my first name, or it's like, really think about that, because that's how people are going to find you. So make it easy for people to find you. It's, if you want to have a private account, that's fine, but just know that they're going to have a way to get a hold of you somehow. And so be super intentional about that. And I will say too, then, that, creating a mission statement for your personal brand is really key. And if you think about it being really short, that is what your Instagram profile can be. You can literally share what that is right there, and create a tagline for yourself. Mine is ready, aim, grow. And I use that, and that goes with both of my businesses. So create something like that, because again, going back to those powerful words, then people get it. They're like, oh, this is what she stands for. And when I say on my Instagram profile, that I'm building brands and community and having fun along the way, like, you get it, and so don't overthink it. Like, it doesn't have to be an entire huge paragraph. Like, make it one sentence, and then give yourself a little tagline, and then just, go from there.
Yeah, I love that. All right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I so appreciate it. And I cannot wait to kick off this, our Chicks in Charge Frisco chapter. Oh my gosh, it'll be so much fun. So excited. And, and I'll be honest, I'm a little nervous too, because I want it to be perfect and I want it to be great. And I want to have all these women here, and it will grow upon itself as well too. But we have got a sold out group in January.
I know. I'm super excited. I can't wait to go down there next week and meet everyone and see who's going to join us. Elevate is our theme for 2023. And so that's what we're doing. Every month, we're going to elevate what's important in our lives, business, personal. That's the thing. Personal branding and professional, it all kind of merges together in the society we live in today. And I think we genuinely all want others to succeed. And that's what it's all about. And you know what? It feels really good when you see other people succeed and feel like you are helping be a cheerleader in that, but also challenge them to elevate. That's where the growth happens. And so I'm super excited. Heather, thank you for leading that group, and I can't wait to meet everyone.
I can't wait either. And if you want to learn more about Chicks in Charge, where do they find information on that, Malena? Tell us about.
So you can go to our website is chicksincharge.club. On Instagram, it's Chicks in Charge HQ. Same thing with Facebook, Chicks in Charge Club, and you'll see the groups connected. You know, if you're out there listening to this and you're in a city and you want to launch a Chicks in Charge chapter, then reach out to me about that. We're just excited about, you know, building community this year.
And where can they find you personally on Instagram? Do you have a cutesy name, or are you Malena Putnam?
No cutesy name. It's just Malena Putnam. And then, for the Oklahoma City area people, it's Yay Dude OKC. And I'm really excited to connect with everyone.
Perfect. All right. Thanks so much for joining, and we'll talk later.
Okay. Thanks, Heather.